Everybody, this is the homework for week 4 for Art 239, Web Design 1, and we're just going to roll through it here. So I have my project folder right here called homework, and my assets directory right here for my my page that we're going to be editing. I'm going to open up homework, and I'm just going to add in my site folder because that's where we're going to be building all of our work. So let's open up this page. Open up Photoshop. Here we go. We've got our layout here, primarily built to just show off the CSS designer properties that we're going to be assigning to backgrounds, etc., etc. So let's flip over to Dreamweaver and let's get started. Let's create a new file. New HTML directory. Let's just call this CSS homework. That'll be the title of our page. Click create, and let's save this immediately so that we are not going to run into any problems. So I'm jumping in the homework, jumping into the site folder, calling this index.html. Done. All right, next step. Let's add a source. Let's get our CSS file linked. Create new CSS file. Let's hit browse. We're inside of our site directory, making sure that's where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to do a new folder called CSS. Create and name this main.css. Save it. It's linked. Click OK. Done. Now you can tell that my index file has my source code and my main.css block, so I'm going to save that too as well. Just Command S to save it. Good. I don't have a site built yet, so let's do that too as well. Before I do this, let's notice that my index file has a little asterisk there, so that means it's not saved because they've added my CSS. Let's save it. All right, let's create a site real quick so we can get this managed. New site. I'm going to call this Week 4 CSS homework. Local site. Let's go find this. This is right here, Week 4 homework site. That's my file that I want, my folder. Let's make sure it's where it should be. Good. Go to advanced settings, local info, and let's set our default images folder, which does not exist yet. Let's add it. Images. Done. Save. Building my site. Here we go. Got my index file. Got my CSS file. Great. Okay. A couple things I want to do here. I actually want to open up. Actually want to do some split here. And I want to change my view to code. And this guy I want to be the CSS. So if you guys saw what I did there, click here. You can flip back and forth and change what you want. So I want this guy to be the source. I want this bottom split visual to be the main, and I want to vertically split this. So split vertically. Great. Excellent. All right, so I want you guys to see what happens when I start building things. So let's flip back to Photoshop. All right, so here's the file. Primary way that we're going to build these sites is we're going to break it down into its objects first. We're going to build out all the HTML first, and then we're going to start flowing styles into it. So this is a very simple layout, primarily all divs with some text-based elements in here. So first big header on the page, that is always going to be an H1, so I'm going to select all and copy, jump back to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to pop in my H1. I can do that one of two ways. I can type H1, or I can come down here into the insert palette and I can just hit H1. And that inserts it and drops in copy that's already selected, and I can just paste. And now I have my H1. Done. Let's flip back to here. Now I've got a block here for a hero. This is just a div. So again, one way to do it is put my selection point, hit return so I align it up to my next line, and go over here to the insert palette. Right? Give it our class a hero. Good. Hit OK. Boom, adds it in. So now we've got our H1 here, and we've got our div. We don't have any content inside of that, so I'm just going to delete that content, so that div is just there. All right. Okay, flip back to Photoshop. So now I've got my H1, I've got my div, I've got some other copy here. So this looks like a an H2. So it's the next in line. It's a header style. So let's go ahead and make it an H2. So again, I can do the insert, or I can just type H2, paste, and then close my tag. All right, let's flip back. There's some regular copy here underneath. Probably going to be a P, paragraph tag. So let's flip back to, and let's give it a P, paste, and close my P tag. Back here, got some other copy here. I don't know what that is. Very, very tiny, but you know what? We will call it another P tag. Another P tag, paste, and close the P tag. So this text is pretty small, and we're going to be assigning some other styles to it, so we have to give it a name. So let's just add a class to this P tag. Again, we can do it a couple different ways, but the easiest way is just to type class equals, and we'll call this small. Done. And then we've got another block. This is a circle. Again, that's another div. Let's go after the P tag. Div class equals circle. Close it. Make sure that that quote is in the right place, and then end our div. All right. So now we've got a H1. Let's tab this guy in so we can properly see what's happening here. So we have our H1, we have our hero div, we have our H2, we have a paragraph, we have a small copy, and then we have our circle. That handles all of this, right? Let's get rid of that. Then I just built all of this whole thing. So what about that? That background red. That is actually a container containing everything up here. So let's go add that container in. Right after the body, and right after this is everything we want to contain. Pretty simple, right? So just put a div, and let's just call it class equals top section. And then we'll close the div. Okay, so now that we close the div, I'm going to select all this copy, and I'm going to hit tab to move it in. So now I know I've got my top section open, and I've got my enclosed elements. Let's go back to Photoshop. So now I've got items on the bottom. I can enclose those too as well. That would make sense. So let's do that. Div class equals bottom section. Nice and simple. Close my div. I know I'm going to be putting stuff inside of that, so let's make some space. All right, we've got a rounded corner block. We've got an item here that has rounding on the top right and bottom left, and then we have some other copy blocks. So let's make these two objects. They're just divs. Class equals rounded corner box. Let's finish our div. And the second one is div class equals rounded corner box 2. Close our div. There you go. What's next? I've got copy, and I have an image here. So the way we're going to handle these is with a float. So basically need an image, and we need a paragraph next to each other inside of an object because it is a specific width, which is right here. Right? So let's do that. Let's make another div. Class equals, we'll call it float text, for lack of a better term. All right, we know we have a paragraph inside of here. We'll go grab that copy in a second. And we know we have an image. And let's just put the image tag there. And then let's close our div. All right, let's go get that copy. Select in here, select all, copy, flip back, paste. Let's go get our image. Now we got to cut that image out. All right, it's just only a single image, so super simple way here without going through all the rigmarole is just make your marquee selection, zoom in, that's tight, zoom in, that is not tight, so let's select, subtract that. All right, we're just going to copy this, make sure we're on that image, copy, make a new file, clipboard, that's what we want, create, paste, done. Let's export as a JPEG because that's what this is. That's what we need it. 60, looks fine, great. Export. And let's go to our images directory. Let's just make sure that's where it's supposed to be. Homework, week 4, homework site images, that's it. We'll just call it code view because that's what the image is of. Done. And we can close that out because we don't need it anymore. Back to Dreamweaver. All right, there's our image. Let's select our image. And we'll notice that the image here is not uploaded because we don't see a little arrow next to it, so we can just refresh the site and you'll see it pops up and there's our image. So fun way to link images, click on that image tag, come down here to the link and click and drag and point to the image. Wow, there's something weird going on here. So let's actually do this. The source. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that's not working. All right, Dreamweaver bug. So instead, I'm going to click on the little folder icon right here. Browse for file. It's going to default me into my images directory that I set in the site preferences already. So click on code view, which is our file. Hit open. Adds everything in there. Best practice here, let's add an alt tag. You can add it right here or drop it in here within the properties palette and say image of a computer screen with code. A little typo right there. Let's fix that and hit enter and you'll see that it pops it up boop, into there, into an alt attribute. Done. Okay, let's flip back to Photoshop, see what else we have here. Okay, we've got an HR right here. There's another HR, and there's some more paragraph settings. One that looks like it has pretty wide leading, and one that's got tight leading that is aligned right. So we need an HR, a paragraph, and another HR. So let's select some copy here. First paragraph, done. So we're inside, we're after our float text. HR. Done. Paragraph, paste, close the paragraph. Let's go grab our next paragraph. Copy, which is right here. Select all, copy. Back to Dreamweaver. Another paragraph, paste, close the paragraph. Got an HR. Oh, there's another paragraph. And that's inside of a box. So we can do a couple different things here. We're just going to leave this as a paragraph to kind of show you how that works. So we need an HR, one more HR, another paragraph, and paste. Okay, so so that's it. We've built our page. I'm going to separate these by lines so you can more easily see it broken out. I guess we'll do every one here and make it easy. Okay. All right, so just to recap, let's bring up Photoshop. Let's size this down so that we can see what we're dealing with here. Okay. All right. H1. There's our H1. Our div hero. There's our hero div. H2 is this line of copy right here. P tag, which is this paragraph here underneath the H2. Small paragraph, which is right here. A div class of circle, which is right here. And we're using our top section, flip back, our top section div to denote our dark or red background. Bottom section is the second area, which is the white background. Rounded corner box 2. We have our float text div, which we're going to pop right here, paragraph and an image right here and here, followed by our horizontal rule, paragraph 1, paragraph 2, 1, 2, another horizontal rule, and another paragraph, and that's it. Our page is done. Our page is coded. So I'm going to line this up because we're going to be coming back to this page because we need to sample colors and all sorts of fun stuff like that. So let's see if we can view this in browser. Get that over here. Google Chrome. Yes, you want to save. Oh, I built that whole page. It didn't save. You want to make sure that you're doing it. All right, so let me bring that over here. So that's our page. That is going to look like this after we do CSS. So, all right, so let's get on to the CSS now. Great. So we're going to do that in the next video because that's going to, it's just easier to block it out.